Inferno of the century. The day fire devoured 2 cities. October 8th, 1871, a date scorched into American history. A night the heavens turned red. It began like any other autumn Sunday: quiet churches, warm dinners, families resting after a long week. But by nightfall, the skies above the American Midwest would glow with an unnatural crimson. 2 cities, separated by hundreds of miles, were about to be engulfed by flames so fierce, so fast, that survival itself would become a miracle. On October 8th, 1871, 2 of the most devastating disasters in U.S. history unfolded simultaneously: the Great Chicago Fire and the Peshtigo firestorm. One would destroy a rising industrial powerhouse. The other would all but erase an entire city from existence. Both would shock a nation and leave behind stories of chaos, heroism, and haunting mystery. The 1870s were a turning point for the United States. The Civil War had ended just 6 years earlier, and the Reconstruction era was reshaping the South. Meanwhile, in the North and Midwest, the Industrial Revolution surged forward. Railroads, factories, and immigrant-fueled expansion transformed sleepy towns into booming cities overnight. Chicago, poised near Lake Michigan, was the crown jewel of this transformation. In just 2 decades, its population exploded from 30,000 to nearly 300,000. A labyrinth of railways and wooden buildings spread across its 234 square miles. But underneath its modern facade lay a dangerous truth: the entire city was practically built of wood. To the north, nestled in the vast forests of Wisconsin, lay Peshtigo, a much smaller city of around 2,000 residents. But it too was expanding rapidly, powered by timber, the very material that fed Chicago's growth. Peshtigo was home to the largest woodenware factory in the world, and slash-and-burn land clearing had become a deadly routine. A year-long drought, scorching temperatures, and howling winds created a powder keg across the region. On October 8th, a single spark would ignite the unimaginable. Chicago, the city of wood, ignites. In the heart of Chicago's west side, Daniel Sullivan stepped onto his porch and noticed an eerie red glow near the barn of Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. Within moments, flames leapt into the night sky. As Sullivan ran to release the trapped animals, a fatal series of errors began. Fire alarms failed. Firefighters were misdirected. Gusts of wind topping 60 miles per hour turned the small barn fire into a raging inferno. Peshtigo, a wall of fire from the woods. Farther north, in the forest-fringed town of Peshtigo, Reverend Peter Pernan felt a divine nudge to stay in town rather than travel to nearby Marinette. By evening, the smoke on the horizon thickened. At 7 p.m., he saw something truly terrifying: a blood-red glow beneath a cloud of smoke advancing rapidly from the west. It wasn't just a fire, it was a firestorm, unlike anything ever seen. As he tried to save sacred items from his church, a wall of flame exploded from the trees. The fire had consumed the forest, the city, and was now hurling flaming debris on hurricane winds. Streets turned into rivers of fire. Superheated air scalded lungs. People ran blindly into the night. Chicago's collapse. The fire leapt across the Chicago River twice, helped by embers and a terrifying natural phenomenon: a fire whirl, a tornado made of flames. Gasworks exploded, warehouses burst into fireballs, and the city's waterworks burned to the ground, shutting off all firefighting capability. By the time the rain came on October 10th, 17,450 buildings were gone, 75,000 people were homeless, and the damage equaled 1/3 of Chicago's entire value. Peshtigo's annihilation. In Peshtigo, the fire came and left within hours, but it destroyed everything. The town vanished as if erased by a god. Reverend Pernin and a few dozen others survived only by standing neck-deep in the frigid river for 5 hours, shielding themselves with wet cloth from the searing air. Yet many still died of hypothermia or burns in the water. At least 1,100 people died, possibly as many as 2,500, making it the deadliest fire in U.S. history. And yet, unlike Chicago, Peshtigo's tragedy would fade into obscurity. Chicago rebuilt fast and rose stronger, with new laws banning wooden buildings in the city center. But the cost was high. Poorer residents were priced out of reconstruction, and many fled. Peshtigo, on the other hand, took a decade to rise from the ashes. But rise it did. Reverend Pernin's rebuilt church still stands today as a solemn monument to a night of unimaginable terror. The night of October 8th, 1871, was more than coincidence. It was a perfect storm of human error, natural disaster, and industrial ambition gone unchecked. 2 cities, 2 infernos, thousands of lives forever altered. And in the end, one haunting truth remains. While Chicago's fire is remembered in every textbook, Peshtigo's silent scream still echoes through the forests of Wisconsin, reminding us that history often forgets the quietest victims.